When the question is where, is it something that doesn't belong? There, if difference itself is selfish, then all differences become out of reach in their minuteness of having the same difference for being selfish. Game balls, apples that fall. Do we know the words when all comes to all that then make differences too big or too small? If the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, then does everything go forward or backward? When it says sorry, big reasons, small reasons, some form of language that is only used if we were the master of reason. Otherwise, we are reasoning and we don't have a grasp of everything. And if we could describe things as such, then maybe all reason would be made up. Talks about certain interests at points of time. Does life march or walk in a rhyme? How far does the point go if we have anything to show? If we then make up excuses or say we're bad, is this really only circumstantial with everything we've had? Meaning that if we try to speak about this in parallels to other places and other things that could say things are lesser or greater in the hands we see, can we only think of bad times that are like failures of actually creating something ourselves, that to then say when something actually makes it in a day as to justify it in some way, even if there's nothing wrong with the creation? It's just that the amalgamation itself recounts all failure as some posture that stills your memory. If it's gone when you hold what you see, then from this point, at every point, if you were actually really that confident, then why don't you always point to the future and give anything away that itself wasn't as confident as this, rather than try to create some excuse to say that the lines are amiss? Where if we could hold something and show it around, how far on this far are we then from saying seeds should be hid underground from all prying eyes until the vegetable wars themselves start to grow with who made every season some prize show? Then if I try to excuse something rather than say, if this can get away, I wonder what else may. The matter of where it came from and who else might think it's fun. Are we building relationships the same way that we take objects in our mind to say that those times it definitely didn't work out? Is this itself in that same route actually playing on some skewed version of in versus out, what itself might actually be the play? If you could elaborate on this in some similar way, for if anything's use was that important, and if we say that doing anything relates to seeing how out we can get, then maybe this is like some very fine middle of it. For if I was truly away, there are definitely plenty of things that have found their way, but words they never say, which I could then probably relate this to every household. If this in some way relates to seeing what might be on the other side of doors, I can see swallows some sword to quench it. Maybe I'll see how much I can bench with it. Makes another side note about how long a thing might make mention of the outs that are seen, and if it had no play, then where would I go to then question its way? Am I liable for the distances that give us sense of distance? If I really am that good, would I question this? Because really it all has to do with some amount and whether it's found out if I share the distance. Do I miss this? How serious itself is a bad action? If I draw a relation like this, will I always be in a good place no matter how much I miss? Which is then to say that the worst action will always be an overthinking, where every point I could know this, I would always know the difference. And especially if I share this with the question of where itself came from, are the greatest things risky? If we then say that whoever said that must actually not know me, then why would they be in this house? Probably then a better question I could propose to some mouse in the walls rather than some image that disappears when it sleeps, because I could talk about the difference of weight and size and how that keeps the chances of what is behind closed doors. And if I was really that smart, why would I not be able to take something thing apart, if I knew it was true, because this can get really bad, I'll tell you, because in this line of text, nothing is for you, not even reality. You see, if this line I drew goes back so far that we don't even question who we are, like we are amidst creation itself and everything that I could have taken better, why even talk about things of this matter? Why not talk about things we could have taken that are latter? Because what I could then actually say, if we take, are we actually taken by something so big, then would it not be like being in some great company, you see, where everything told you what it is, but I'm telling you this is actually the worst line? So whatever else do you think you could have taken to make things worse? You would be lying. And I didn't even do anything that questions this. Just think what it would be that I would have to take for this to see. That's the difference between you and me.